Hey guys, AlternativeBriggs here, and today I have my first manga review for a manga called Stargazing Dog by Takashi Murakami. Now, I picked this one up on Amazon. I had never seen or heard of it before, and I've never heard anyone talk about it before. But to my surprise, it's actually really popular in Japan. It's a national bestseller. It has a live-action film adaptation, and this English release is only the first 2 stories. Murakami wrote 5 stories relating to Stargazing Dog, but only 2 have been published in English, which is unfortunate. I will warn you though, if you are sensitive to sad animal stories, approach this one with caution, because it is very sad. It's about a little Akita named Happy and his family. Now that seems sweet and innocent, but we're actually told from the onset of the book, and I mean literally the first couple of pages here, that Happy and his owner are going to die. The police are called out to investigate a mysterious car that has the body of a dead man inside. Now, the man has been dead for over a year, and the dog has only been dead for maybe 3 months. So we know from the beginning of this story that Happy has stayed with his owner's dead body for months on end, which just creates this super sad tone throughout your reading. Now, the rest of it seems pretty innocent. We have Happy. He gets adopted by this family. You can see here the daughter. And she names him Happy. And at first she plays with him a lot, every day. And Mommy, the mother of the family, who Happy calls Mommy, feeds him every day. Here's the other main character, Daddy. He takes Happy on walks every day. So at first there's a lot of routine to Happy's life. He is, ironically, very happy. But over time, Happy begins to notice changes in the family. The daughter isn't playing with him as much. She becomes a teenager. And the mommy no longer feeds him. Daddy does all the feeding. Eventually, we learn that Mommy wants a divorce from Daddy. And Daddy starts to walk Happy during the day instead of at evening because he lost his job. Now, after the divorce, Daddy loses everything, including his house. He has to pack up all of his belongings into this car, and he and Happy decide to travel south, just on a road trip. And the rest of the story is basically just Happy and Daddy on their trip, getting into trouble. We learn that Daddy has a pre-existing heart condition, so, I mean, you can make your guess from there as to what's going to happen, but that's basically it for Stargazing Dog. I don't want to spoil any of it. I mean, I know you already know what happens based on the first couple of pages, but there is stuff that happens in between that I want you to experience for yourself. The second story is called Sunflowers. Let me see if I can... Let me see if I can get to it. Okay, here it is. Now, Sunflowers is the story of a social worker who has to identify the body in the car because he wants to tell the family that he's dead. And it's this man right here. I don't remember his name. But he's basically touched by the story of the dog who stayed by his master. And Sunflowers is the story of him remembering a dog that he had as a child. After his grandma passed away, his grandpa got him a new puppy to kind of fill that void. But over time, as with a lot of pet owners, he started to take the puppy for granted and he didn't play with him as much. And this is the story of his dog growing older and all of his regrets for not having spent enough time with the dog before it passed away. This is a much shorter story. It's kind of just a companion to the first one, which I believe is what the remaining stories are as well that weren't published in English. Now, I saw on Amazon when I bought this book that some people were complaining in the reviews that they were upset that it was revealed from the first page that Happy and his owner were going to die. And I can see the point, but I actually found it to be the opposite. I thought that that introduction was necessary for setting the sad tone and the somber backdrop that the entire manga had. Without that, I don't think that you would care nearly as much about what was going on. With it, I feel like there was this sadness, this somberness under the surface, and you wanted to find out what was going to happen to Happy. You wanted to find out what was going to cause this horrible thing. It doesn't seem like much on the surface. It seems like just a sad story for the sake of being sad, but I was actually really touched by the message of this book. If you've ever had a dog or any kind of pet, you'll really connect with this one. A lot of people will go to the shelter or purchase a dog or another pet from a breeder, and they'll take it home. And at first they'll really enjoy that pet, but over time the novelty wears off and they start to see it as an inconvenience. And I think that's what this manga was really trying to put through to its audience, that while we may have lives outside of our pets, they don't. We are their whole life, we're their only friend, and when we take advantage of that, it can be really devastating to the animal. That's why so many animals end up back in shelters, being passed around from home to home, living their lives depressed, unwanted. Happy remains, well, happy throughout the whole story. He's selfless, he's loyal, and it's really sad that we go and we purchase these animals, we adopt them from shelters, and they're so loyal to us, they love us so much, and then we end up just viewing them as an inconvenience later on. In the same way that mommy and the daughter start to view Happy as an inconvenience, and the social worker at the end starts to view his own dog as an inconvenience to him. And this is really just a story showing the loyalty of dogs and how we shouldn't be taking advantage of their feelings. Before we purchase a dog, before we adopt an animal from a shelter, we need to understand the commitment to that animal. We need to understand that we are going to be there for them throughout their entire lives, and they're going to want to play with us every day. And we can't just view that as something annoying or something that we don't want to do. We have to do it. We made that commitment to that animal. And I'm really passionate about that stuff. I love animals. I have a few of my own. I've always advocating, doing your research before you pick up an animal, making sure that you have the time for that animal, not only now, but, 10 years down the road when that animal's an adult. This book actually made me think about my own dogs, and how much time I spend with them. Am I really giving them enough of my time? And I think that for a manga to make me think about my own life and reflect on how I could change, I think that's really impressive. And I really liked this book a lot. There's not a whole lot there. It's very short, it's a quick read, but I thought it was very touching. I thought it was very sad, so be ready for that. But I feel like if you love dogs or if you love animals in general and you share some of my sentiments, this one could really, really touch you. And I would highly recommend it to anyone who loves animals, anyone who wants a nice, sad story to read, to really cheer them up. I'm kidding, obviously, but really, prepare yourself. This is a very sad book, but it's worth it. I think it's really worth it. So, yeah, guys, that's my review of Stargazing Dog. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.